The first panel which we will have today is on something that will touch all of us very, very, very soon. The first panel today is on a 5G technology and how it's going to transform the world and industries. And we just had a quick chat on the back of the room with some of our panelists who said very clearly, people in this room will be working with 5G, no matter what is it that you do. So I would like to invite you to listen closely to what will be some of the things that we will be working with over the next couple of years. And to do that, to learn about that, we have a stellar list of panelists and moderator who's going to join me on stage now. I'd like to invite our moderator, Jowita Michalska, and also fantastic, please do join me on stage. We have Justyna Adamczewska from Orange.
It doesn't work yet. Oh, yes, it works.
Fantastic.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
We have President of Ericsson in Poland, Mr. Martin Mellor. Mr. Victor Canseco from Intel. And last but certainly not least, Professor Sławomir Wiak, Rector of Łódź University of Technology and an EU expert. Before we start, I just wanted to very quickly introduce our moderator. She will introduce the topic later on. Jowita Michalska is the CEO of Digital University and an ambassador of Singularity University. Very interesting discussion we just had about it backstage. If you're interested in either of those, I'm sure that Jowita can tell you everything about it. If you don't know, Digital University is a foundation dedicated to development of strategic digital competences. And she did something very interesting in her life. Yesterday we talked with some people backstage that almost everybody I was introducing on this stage last year started from software development, system analysis, etc., and then grew to become a VP of global technology in a company. Well, Jowita didn't do that. She actually did a pivot during her career. She was actually a marketing director and then all of a sudden switched to the tech world. So if you are not from the tech world yet, again, please come and talk to Jowita. She might be able to advise you on how to make the flip.
I'll be happy to share some insight, but after the panel.
After the panel. For
Thank
now,
you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Let's maybe sit. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to have this discussion in the morning of a second day. And thank you, the audience, that you came so early. I know that it's challenging, and this part of the city is also very challenging to get to. But we have something which is really, really important to discuss today, because 5G is something that will change our world, and is already changing. I hope you're going to say a few cases here. It is changing our world tremendously, and nothing will be the same after 5G. So I'd like to start with a little bit of a warming up conversation. Why do we need 5G? This may be a tricky question because we all know that we need, but let's share a few thoughts why. And I will start with the lady, of course.
Of course. Hello, everyone. Why do we need 5G? Why do we need evolution? Do we need evolution? Do we need to change something in our life? I think it's just a question that shouldn't be even answered because we know the answer. 5G is just the next step of our evolution. And we can discuss a lot about the needs, but itself, we as people, we are already see what is happening. We are using more and more data. Data is something that is assisting us each and every day, each and every moment. We all have our mobile phones next to us, don't leaving it anywhere. You also
I even have my questions
here. Yes, exactly. So as I was introduced, I'm from Orange, and we are seeing it, that our users are really deep in love with data, and they are using it more and more. And being honest, the 5G is something that will bring us the next level of usage of data. It will allow us to do a lot of different things with faster way, but it's not only for us as individuals, but also for a business. We need to remember that the new business is coming, and we are seeing it, we are already touching it, and we see that virtual reality is coming to us each and every day, and those data are really needed, and 5G will bring us the possibility to use more and more data.
Martin, more and more data, and what else?
Yeah, first of all, it's really great to be here at this fantastic summit. And it's great to be on stage with Ericsson partners. 5G is all about ecosystems. And Ericsson works very closely with Intel for the chipsets, very closely with Orange. We've got the 5G in Warsaw, and very closely with Łódź Polytechnica, where we'll be building the 5G campus. But to the question, why do we need 5G? Justyna was just mentioning how data rates are increasing. We see across the world, data rates are increasing by 50% annually. And you think, from an operator's point of view, how do you cope with this data? How do you make your networks efficient so that you can keep delivering this high demand of data that we all require from it? And the answer is to make the production cost per bit lower. And 5G, with the higher frequencies, higher bandwidth, allow the operators to do that and allow the operators to have a much lower production cost per bit. So the first real use case is for consumers so that we can continue using the data streams that we're using today and in the future. But whereas 2G, 3G, 4G was aimed at consumers, 5G is also aimed at industries. When the standards for 5G were being developed, industries were coming to us and saying that we need more than the current networks. We need higher throughput, we need lower latency, we need longer battery life. And therefore, all these requirements went into the 5G standards, and 5G can be considered as the industrial internet as well, that will help all the industries and economies of the world. And that's going to come as a second wave right after the launch of 5G.
Thank you. Victor, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I'm going to stay, good morning, everybody. I'm gonna stick to the data. And there's been a lot of talk in the past several years about this deluge of data and all the data that gets captured. Something like 90% of all the data that's ever been captured has been captured in the past couple of years. But there's very little value that's being generated from that data. Sure, our lives are a lot easier and made better through some apps, but relative to the potential, we've done very little. And in order to be able to realize what's left, we need technologies like 5G. When you think about what can be done with just analytics for industry, for every single industry, for our consumer experiences, for AI, none of that can happen without technologies like 5G.
Professor, why do we need 5G? What do you think?
Really saying, let me refer to only shortly, of course, for two documents, my colleagues told us. The first statement, that is communication from Commission of the European from 2006. What is stated there, that is very important. The vision is operationalized through strategic objectives for 2025 Europe, the horizon 2025, where we are. What they stated, growth and jobs. Gigabit connectivity. Could you imagine yourself without such 5G technology? No. If we do not implement 5G technology, we lose the chances of Europe in respect to China and USA competition. Adding also South Korea. Don't forget about this high-tech society. What we could create thanks to this implementation, that is very important. They clearly stated that within the next 10 years, up to 50 billion objects from homes, cars and watches are expected to be connected worldwide. could be happen only with such a new technology to be implemented. The next very important statement is that innovative ways of teaching and learning, looking to young generation especially, need gigabit connectivity for up-to-date learning materials, tools, techniques, and creating, let me stress very clearly, digital skills of young generation. That is very important. And the next declaration, just Brussels 218 in the Rome Declaration of March 2017, very important. Creating the European education area announced a dedicated digital education action plan. Therefore, 5G technology is absolutely necessary to be implemented on all streams of education, starting, let me say, from primary school up to universities. That is a challenge for Europe and Poland as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. You've already answered all the questions I wanted to ask during the panel. But let's go to the other one. At Singularity University, we discuss a lot about 5G. We discuss a lot about the future, which 5G is really one of the most important trends. And of course, there is a discussion that within 5 years, when we're going to have 4 billion new people online, with the devices that they probably get for free from the companies for their data, and with the 5G speed accessible everywhere in the world. So this is completely new world, but there is also a lot of things happening already today. And in this question, I wanted to ask you what are already implementation of 5G, and what are the changes that 5G is bringing to the business today? Martin, maybe we can start with you. What is the usage of today?
Worldwide, Ericsson has been doing many pilots and trials before the 5G launches, so we've got lots of experience of which industries will benefit from 5G. And then 5G was launched in April this year in USA and South Korea, and many other countries have followed since. So Ericsson now has 23 live 5G networks worldwide where we can start collecting this information. And of course, we have our live 5G test network in Warsaw with Orange, which we can also collect information locally from as well. So when we do studies to see which industries will benefit most from 5G, we can see clearly that in Poland, it's manufacturing that will be the biggest beneficiary, followed by public safety, healthcare, transportation. And these are some of the areas where we've been investigating with as well. So we've been doing demonstrations with autonomous cars. People talk about that now as though it's automatically happening. We did a demonstration recently in Germany where we could show a holographic interview in an autonomous car, just to show a bit of an example of what 5G can give you in the future. But we do examples with mining industries for better safety and better production. The 5G will have such lower latency that you will be able to touch the internet. We call this haptic feedback. And this has all sorts of applications, especially in the medical world. And we'll show demonstrations now of a 5G connected ambulance, and the doctor in the hospital can actually not only see the patient in the ambulance, but touch and feel the patient in the ambulance for assessments prior to arrival. So all of these things will bring changes to many industries.
Amazing. Yes, yeah. Professor.
In general, again, thanks to my contribution to the group of experts for recently created as a action European innovative ecosystem to be constructed around Europe. A recent study of 27 countries of EU that successful deployment of 5G could bring about 113 billion euro per year, okay, for benefits as well. Industries, automotive, healthcare, transport, and utilities. Going back, what kind of money, what amount of money we should spend. The objectives of 225 is estimated to require overall investment about 500 billion euro for coming decade. That means that is an impact, grow impact in the investment for new technology. Okay, referring to your general question.
Thank you. Justyna, can you tell us a little bit more about what you're already doing with 5G and what are the earliest benefits of implementation?
Okay, so I would like to say at the beginning that 5G, it's not the say that 5G is coming. 5G is already existing somewhere. It's quite close because, as Martin said, the big trial that we have done with Ericsson is just next to Expo, being honest. And I'd like to say that it's always the same story, that a lot of people are working on a new technology. You probably already heard that some first work about 6G is coming, but it's a long way. So firstly, a lot of scientists, a lot of people from different areas are trying to invent something to prepare a proper standard. Then the tests are being performed. And then for me is the most amazing moment, because the technology are actually being alive, because we are coming from our labs into reality. And today, as Orange, we have done already a couple of trials. We have with different partners. As I said, it was Warsaw, but also last month we have announced a test with Lublin. And I would like to say that those tests are performed not only by us, technicians, engineers, our employees, but we are inviting our customers to see and touch what 5G actually is. It's very important, and we discussed with Martin a couple of minutes ago that it's quite important to let people understand, touch the new technology, because it will be something, as you said, that is for us now really hard to understand yet. But so I think that we should accompany this process of implementation. We should see what is going on. We should trying to feel this 5G. And also we should try to focus a bit more what we can do with this new technology, because it's a great opportunity window for a new business. And for me, it's something that I would like to say, especially to the audience, because you are in such a age that I believe that when 5G will be real 5G, you will be doing your business, and really hope that you will invent something that will change our world.
Hopefully. Victor, would you like to add on something? Intel is also a huge part of this move. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I think, we consider technologies like 5G to be right in our sweet spot that contribute to what we call the virtuous circle for our business, in the sense that the more technologies like this are available, the more devices that get connected to networks, the more demand for compute, storage and networking equipment is required, and all of that just feeds itself to the benefit of our business. So we do a lot to promote this. We're very involved in many of the trials that Ericsson has been doing, and we support also a lot of the industry initiatives that are happening with other that will require technologies like this. For example, autonomous vehicles, not just cars. Self-driving cars is the sexy part, but there's also a lot of other work being done with unmanned vehicles as well, not just on the ground, that we're involved with. So yeah, we can't wait for this to get going.
Okay, yeah, Professor.
from, let me say, university point of view, what is the, let me say, competition and also, let me say, contribution to the both streams, even three, I mean, education, science, and application as well. I would kindly announce that together with Martin, I mean Ericsson, together with Branch Institute, Institute for Telecommunication, we succeeded for 2 grants for creating the 5G campus of Lodz University of Technology, together with the education platform partially open to everyone to arrange a discussion about even something ghosts created by a special group, with commas, okay? But we are as a first university which succeeded, and we are just in progress of creating, let me say, also installation of stations for 5G technology. And first of all, education, we create a special track for 5G courses in my university, then creating the initiatives of students, I mean spins and startups as well, and also application for the industry. But the next step, just in front of us, creating the regional digital innovation hub together with our region, because that is one of the priority of EU. Digital innovation hubs is one of the priority of EU.
And just to link on what Rector is saying here, Ericsson's very pleased to be working with the University Łódź Polytechnica and to create this 5G campus. Ericsson has 2,000 R&D engineers in Poland, 1,000 in Krakow and 1,000 in Łódź. So there's been a long-standing relationship between Ericsson in Łódź and the Polytechnica. We're also manufacturing 5G in Poland, in Tczew, so there's a huge contribution of competence from Poland in 5G all around the world. And with this campus network, what we will be able to do is to create a center of excellence for 5G in Poland for students today and in the future. And this is going to be great news for the Polish economy in the future as Poland contributes even more to 5G.
Telling more, it is absolutely obligatory from my side as a rector, due to the contract I signed with the region, to create such an excellent center for 5G. It will be soon, let me say, realized.
I think it's worth to underline for this audience that if you want to learn a bit more about 5G, you also already have a platform for that. It's still early in the morning, so I think it's good time for dreaming a bit. So let's dream and jump. Let's jump like 5-10 years to the future. And you've already mentioned a few times that 5G will have a great influence on healthcare, on transportation, education, I think media and broadcasting as well. So I'd love you to share with our audience a little bit of a future, but what can exactly be done, in your opinion, like when you speak from today's perspective, what really can be done with 5G, how in the future, in the area of 5 to 10 years, 5G will influence all these areas. We've already talked about how the surgery will look a little bit different than it looks today, but I'd like you to share some ideas, what would the future look like?
Can I start? Okay, so you already talk a lot about autonomous cars, or not only cars, as you said, but I think except the medical area, that is for me quite truly important. Yes, passionate. You know, I would like to really be sure that my elderly mother is okay, and I can check it from my mobile that she's really okay, and I would like to make sure that the doctor is coming when he or she should come to her. So this is a really nice future that is in front of us. But I think that it might be worth also to mention that with this real 5G, real possibilities, real implementation of 5G that will come in a couple of years, we'll be able to have put really a lot of sensors and automation. And at the end, let me focus a bit more on retail branch. Can you imagine how you can change your shopping experiences in those 3-5 years? Can you imagine the world when you are going, or you are even not going to the shop because your refrigerator is saying to the shop that you already need more eggs and I don't know what, your orange juice or something like that. And when you are coming back from your work, the in special box in front of your door, all of the products will be available. For me, it will be cool. On the other hand, maybe when you like going to the shop, can you imagine the situation and then when you are entering the shop and the exhibition is specially prepared for you. You are seeing exactly what you would like to see. If you are looking for an orange dress, you are just seeing all of the orange dresses that are in this shop. If you are looking for the, I don't know, nice glasses, you are just watching the glasses that are suitable for your faces. That's the future, and this future is coming soon, really.
That's amazing. Victor, what is Intel dreaming about in case of 5G?
So for us, I think a world in which everything is connected is part of our overall vision. It would enable a lot of different, opportunities for the enterprise, to operate a lot more efficiently, and for the consumer, a lot of experiences that we don't have today, right? From the usual that we use way too much, downloading your Netflix favorite show in a second or whatever, to the experiences, whether it's shopping or everything else that you need in your life. I think a lot of the images that we've seen over the past, 10, 20 years about what the future looks like and what the possibilities are from technology, we'll be able to get a lot closer to that with 5G in ways that we can't we could never do with even 4G.
Professor.
Okay. We have two passes. First of all, our imagination and facing us reality. That is the truth. Because
sometimes
only
really
two examples, short examples in the reference to China. Recent news I listen and watch as well that they decided in one of the metropolis, Shenzhen, to replace the gasoline cars, let me say, serving the public transport. Instead, the huge group of cars, auto cars as well, they replace 17,000 fully electric cars, auto cars as well, coaches, just implementing nowadays partially 5G technology for the control as well. That is the first one. The second one, also example for China, that is health service. That is very important. Just two parts. First of all, real surgery, but the second one, the health service, especially to old generation, to take the care of even people, let me say, aged, as a personal health service, to be implemented thanks to 5G. But example again from China, that it is very well known that due to the government decision in China, 17 metropolis just in progress in installing 5G technology. One of them, example is very short, let me say surgery, that is example for one metropolis, that a control system thanks to 5G to the surgery robot. The distance was 50 kilometers. it should be surgery for the dog to remove part of liver. The time delay was less than 0.3 seconds. That is the future for 5G installation, changing also our mind. I mean, me as professor and young generation as well. It is more easy than me.
Thank you, Professor. Martin, would like to add on something?
Sure, yes. Let's think about where we are today and these trials we've been doing with Orange. We get speeds of nearly 1 gigabit per second to your device. 1 gigabit per second. We get latency, single-digit millisecond latency, and these are attributes of the network that are going to change things dramatically. You look at how South Korea are using this new bandwidth, and 20% of the network there now is used for AR and VR applications. So you can see how consumers are going to embrace these new trends. And AI is going to be enabled by 5G. Today, for AI, you need the intelligence locally in the devices, which makes that very expensive. In the future, with 5G, the intelligence will be in the cloud. And whether it's VR that you're watching or AI decisions that are coming from the cloud, this will be able to send over the network with this high-performance bandwidth that you're going to be seeing. But what will change in the future? Let's take a couple of examples. I love sports and a big football fan. Now, imagine if you could have an immersive sports arena with your virtual reality glasses, no matter where you are in the world. You could be in the middle of the football pitch. You could be experiencing what the players feel and see. This is going to really change sports in the future. But concerts, rock concerts, I'd love to go to a concert. We're doing demonstrations now called Music Connect, where the musicians can be in different places of the world. But the low latency and the high bandwidth means that you don't hear any difference when they're playing. And what if I could say to you, you could be sitting at home playing your guitar, but be projected via a hologram live onto the stage of your favorite artist? Sounds futuristic, but we're doing that today. So it won't be 10 years, it'll be more like 5 years before these new high-tech innovations are really everywhere.
So that's fascinating and scary. So imagine next year, all of you won't be here. We will be speaking to the empty audience, and all of you will be sitting at homes and having immersive experience. But I think next year we're going to be still here, all of us. I'd like to jump to challenges and risks. There is a lot of backstage discussions also. So let's focus a little bit on that area. Cybersecurity, coming with 5G, the challenges in this area. There is a lot of discussions about, is it safe for our health? We need to build more and more stations. So the second area of this, and that all of the risks that are around 5G. Can we focus a little bit on that, Justyna?
We need to remember that 5G and the base of the 5G is a well-known technology, mobile radio transmission. It's already touched by all of the scientists. It's measured, it's checked, and it's said that it's safe. There is no proven evidence that mobile radio transmission is doing anything to the human being or to other beings. We need to take into account that fact. There are a lot of, as you said, concerns about new technology, and this is always happening when the new technology is coming to life. We observed it when we were implementing 4G, previously 3G, and now we are observing this just step before the 5G implementation. With Orange, we are really straightly connected with scientific environment. We are taking into account very seriously the security issue. And I think that what's needed to be said is that we are basing on something that is, as I said, well known. And all of those concerns that are around us, I believe that is mainly because of the lack of knowledge. And that's why we should really take care about all of the concerns. We should be open and discuss with all of the people that are afraid and try to explain all together, not only operators, but all of the vendors, the scientists that have a big and deep knowledge, but also the government, to make sure that our society is really ready for this new technology, that feel it is secure, and that nobody is trying to harm it.
Thank you. Anyone who's that onto this?
Yeah, about security in particular, I think we believe it's something that needs to be baked into the products as they're being designed. It's not something that can be bolted on after the fact. And one of the things that I think should be of concern to all of us is particularly enterprise use cases, what we call IoTG. Some of these devices are being designed with cost as the primary criteria. These are cheap sensors that are going to be attached to things, and how much security is being factored into the design of those devices. I think it's something that should be a concern, and one of the biggest red flags, I think, for the broad deployment of 5G.
On the safety, 5G uses radio waves in exactly the same way that 4G does. Yes, there are new frequencies, but these frequencies have all been in use for many different applications before, whether through television, whether through microwave, point-to-point broadcasts, that they've been in use and around for a long time. But as Justyna was saying, this is all about education and making sure people fully understand the technology and also the benefits that comes with this. Yeah? Mm-hmm. When it comes to the security, then, as Victor was saying, Ericsson's philosophy is exactly the same. It's security by design. It needs to be built in from the standards. It needs to be designed into the product. It needs to be part of the configuration of the network, and it's part of the operations of that network. And all of these need to be combined. And we just recently, Ericsson have signed an agreement with the government at CyberSec 2 weeks ago for a cyber security agreement. And here we'll be working to make sure that Poland doesn't just have the most advanced 5G network, it has the most secure network as well.
Thank you. Professor, I have a different question for you, because I think what is probably the most important question of this panel? Digital gap. There is a lot of more and more jobs that require digital skills, and the market is completely unprepared for that. There are lots of issues, like the issues are the older generations that were born without digital skills, without even knowing that they will be needed. There are women that are really, there is representation in digital jobs. So what is already happening to really help with this issue? And what is your advice for the audience? How to learn or where to learn digital skills?
Where to learn and how to learn. Okay, let me say levels of educations, I mean primary, secondary, and high school are fully responsible for creating new courses. Also, as I mentioned before, creating the open knowledge platform to give the chance everyone to read more, to set up personal education on higher level. That is our also task as a universities.
Yes.
That is so crucial point, because otherwise we could create the ghosts against new technologies. New technologies just around us. And also the challenge, let me repeat what I told before, challenge in the reference to USA, China, South Korea, and other countries as well. If we do not go such a way, very clear way, we lose the chance as a Europe, let me say.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think
Victor.
there's a lot that's going on already that we're doing. So, for example, last year here in Poland, we piloted an AI for Youth program targeting middle school children. It was a very successful program. We ended up with about 20% more students than we started with, which is different than the experience we had in other countries where we actually experienced some attrition. It is a program, a very thorough program, a commitment for 160 hours with tests along the way to make sure that the work is being done and the lessons are being learned. And we're going to expand that this year and beyond here in Poland, as well as in other countries in Europe. But in general, when we think about how ready we are, the conclusion is we're not, right? For companies like ours, we tend to think a lot about what we call the war on talent. There is not enough talent. How do we do it? What do we do about it? And I happen to think that there is enough talent. We're just not tapping into it well enough. We have a conference room full of people here, close to 7,000 people in attendance yesterday that are just a small glimpse, really, of all the resource pools that are out there that we're not tapping into well enough or as well as we should. So that needs to be also part of the equation, as well as continuing education for the older people like us that need to learn these new skills along the way.
Thank you. Martin and Justyna, just like last couple of minutes of this panel we had.
Okay, I agree. It's all about education and starting as early as possible in primary schools, through junior schools, senior schools, into universities. And 4 years ago, Intel and Ericsson, together with Perspektywy, started the IT for She program. And I know many people in this audience will be very familiar with the IT for She program, and Bianca has developed this in the most marvelous way, becoming recognized in Europe as the best digital skills program for women, and that's converted into the Women in Tech Summit, and that's why we're here today. And I just think this is a perfect example of bringing that education to a large number of super skilled, bright young women that's going to make a big difference in the future for 5G development and the usage of the 5G services in industry.
A lot of already was said, so I won't underline because it was very important. I will try to add something. For me, we should understand that coding is just like another language. And being honest, when I was very young, I was learning English and a couple of different languages, but English was my favorite one. And in my opinion, we should put a big pressure to make sure that young people each and every young people are just having fun with coding, because coding will be and is already around us in every part of the science. So that's why in Orange we have built a special program for young people that we are really trying to teach young people coding. But also we should take into account, because I really believe in you. I think that you are not digitally excluded. But when you think about your parents and grandpas, probably that's the issue. My mother is not really a fan of smartphone. That's the issue. My mother is not very old. And I believe that we should also take care about people that are not very young. And don't forget that we should teach them also these new competences, new knowledge, and make sure that seniors are also next to us and with us, not behind us.
Thank you very much. I think there is one last thing worth underlying, especially to this audience. I think the change in education in the digital world is that the responsibility is on us. It's not on, our jobs, it's not on our HR people, it's not on our school, responsibilities on us. And I can share it from my own perspective, because I really, I started learning all the digital competences and strategies 6-7 years ago, and today I think I know a lot about it, but it was my responsibility and I was doing it for myself, focusing every single day, reading articles, reading books, listening, meeting new people from these jobs, coming to the conferences and places like this and discussing with people, this is the opportunity we have to use, all of us, to learn. If you want to switch to the other side, to understand more digital, really have to sink in, really have to have this immersion. And this is what I think we should leave the audience with. Thank you so much for this discussion. I really loved it. I think we covered all the topics. And thank you, audience, for listening to us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.